Good day, everyone. This is John Scarborough. Wanted to revisit this subject again today about the corded versus batteries. Just revisit it a little bit, talk a little bit more about a couple things I missed, couple other tools, couple other examples, and I'll try to be fairly quick. And I had mentioned first off in that video that I typically just don't use any other drill except for my battery pack drill. And for the most part, that's true. But I did think of a few other examples where I do actually own some corded tools that I do still use some. And this is a much more powerful drill right here. I use this one on occasion. Like I said, I'm gonna go back to the whole cost thing, the money thing. I got this for dirt cheap. I found it at a sale somewhere, got it for maybe $15. And I mean, you look at the size of that motor versus the size of this motor, okay? Well, first off, this has got a forward and reverse switch right here, so you can, on demand, go from one direction to the other, okay? And I'll expand on why that's nice sometimes. It's got a nice handle back here to help you hold on to that thing, because you're gonna need that. You'll break an arm if you're not careful, if that thing catches you wrong, because it's so powerful. That is just way more powerful than this drill right here. So by and large, this drill now with the battery is the drill that I use. It's even got a hammer drill feature on there. I mean, I use this drill for the most part, probably I would say 90%, but it's probably closer to 98, 99% of the time I use that drill. Actually, to be honest, for the most part, I like a drill press. But I'm talking about when I use a hand drill, I'm using that one. Okay, so why do I own this? Well, first off, like I said, it was so cheap. I don't remember exactly what it cost, but it seems like it was around anywhere from the $10 to $20 range. Just too cheap to pass up for a working, strong drill. And this one you can actually change the brushes on, whereas that one you couldn't even do that. So this one will probably last me for the rest of my life, especially as little as I use it. Plus, it's got the chuck right there. And the chuck is not good. This right here is handy. I'll say it like that. The one where you can use your hand, very, very handy. But when you're really trying to have some power, you've still got to have that chuck. So this is a really good option. And it's not something I'm going to turn down. Because every now and then I'll get this power, and I'll give you a couple examples. Okay, one, I use this when I've got a big bucket of paint and I want to put a paint mixer on there. I'll use that, whereas this will work. It will. I'm going to get more power. This is going to mix faster. It's going to mix better. I don't have to worry about knocking my batteries, draining my batteries. And usually if I'm doing paint, I'm only in one spot, so the cord's not bothering me at all. And for 15 bucks, it's a whole lot easier to just use, a whole lot more economical to just use that rather than burning up batteries. Plus, it's more powerful, like I said. And it just, to me, it gets it done a lot faster and better. And then you can do as much as you want. But to expand on that just a little bit, because I don't do paint very much and all like that, I don't do that kind of stuff, that's another reason why I'm using this. If I was in the painting business and I did this kind of stuff all the time, I would probably look towards a battery-powered drill that's more powerful, closer to this kind of power for the convenience, okay? But because I don't use it very often, I don't paint for a living, I don't do that kind of stuff very often, there's no point in me spending that extra money for a bigger drill when I can find these. Now that we have so many battery packed options, it's actually made these tools more economical, even as newer tools, but especially when you find them used. It's just made them more economical. You definitely want to make sure you check it if you're buying it used. But another thing, I'll give you another example. In the guy that lives right across the road from me, I lease his property for cows. He owns chicken houses there, and this is his number one drill. He owns several of these. He uses them inside the chicken houses, and they will actually power the winches. That way he can move this around. So it's not like it sits in one spot. He actually will move this to different winches inside of there. And so you ask yourself, well, why doesn't he just use a battery pack? Why still use that? Well, first off, he still finds it as more power. Secondly, these things are in harsh environments, being in those chicken houses, harsh environments when it comes to tools. So that's going to make it wear these down quicker. So he doesn't want to have to be burning up something with a battery pack all the time. Another example is that he has hired people that works for him, and so he doesn't want to be spending that extra money for them. So that's a couple things I can touch on with that. You know, that for $15 for me, you know, even if it costs you $100, you know, that's a good price for something that you don't have to worry about. It's probably going to last you for a long time, and you're never going to have to worry about the batteries. And he even totes that cord around, but he's willing to do it for what he gets out of it, you know. So that's one good example. There's all sorts of different things. This is another example. I'll try to go on, and I don't even know if they have battery pack ones. Now this is old. This is a soldering gun, soldering iron, whatever you want to call it. This one's really old. It was actually my dad's, and so it's kind of got a nostalgia to it. It wasn't the one that he used all the time. The one he used all the time actually was wrapped in tape, but this was a secondary one he had, and I got it, and so I just use it because it looks just the same, and it kind of reminds me of him. He's dead now, and so just kind of something nostalgic. So that's part of the reason for me. But what I wanted to say is I've seen these sitting on shelves for dirt cheap, and they still work great. Okay, so something like this is a good example of, I don't use it very often, so why use something that plugs in? That doesn't plug in. Why use something that's battery packed when I don't use it very often? And like I said, I don't even know if these are battery packed. I'm just using this as an example that even if it was, and even if this didn't have any nostalgic value to me, I would still probably go with the plug-in one because they're so dang cheap, and I don't use them very often, and you're usually not running around moving around with these. You're sitting in one spot when you're using one of these. So that's just kind of another example of why cords are not obsolete, and I'm not going to harp on that too much. I just kind of wanted to show some examples. This right here is a third example. I love this tool, but I don't use it a lot. I don't use it a whole bunch. Okay, so I bought this brand new, and I bought it with power. Now, going back to this one has the hammer drill feature. I don't like using the hammer drill feature on these. I'm sorry, they just don't have the power. It's just not got it. Okay, they're not there yet. Maybe one day, but so far I just don't like it as much as something like this. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't do some small screws and stuff like that, and it would probably be handy for that. But for me, the times that I did it, like when I was in this shop, building this shop, I used this hammer drill, and I was putting in some 3/8 of an inch hammer drilled holes into the concrete, and I was very thankful and glad to have this thing. So this is another example of where I'm going to have the cord. For one, I don't have to go a long way. I do move around some. I'm never going up and down ladders so far. I mean, if you've had an experience where you've been up and down a ladder with one of these, then yeah, put that in the comments. But I haven't had the issue with that. Maybe there's a few examples of where you might have to. I don't know. The point is for me, I'm always on the ground. I don't use it very often, so I didn't see the point in spending the extra money to do it. And then I really wanted to make sure I had all the power and everything else that I needed. And I'm not saying that you can't buy the power with a battery pack tool. I'm just saying that maybe for now it seems to be cheaper to buy the power with the cord. Okay, so a lot of it goes back to money, but it's also lastability. This can sit right there in that box for the next 10 years, and it will stay perfectly good. A battery would go bad if it's sitting there like that. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there, guys. Like and subscribe.